Good morning, everyone. Clint McLaughlin here with Midwest Market Management. Got Riley Sykart on with me here today. It is Tuesday, June 17th. We're officially past the halfway mark of June. Temperatures starting to warm up here, mostly just seasonably, nothing overly pressing from the temperature side, Riley. I've been watching the radar a lot lately, and it just seems like there's a lot of just active, like smaller cells moving around. Like you'll pull up the radar over the weekend, and there might be some things floating around Oklahoma, Kansas, then a cell over Wisconsin, and a lot of red in the cells. Everything's kind of moving through pretty quickly. Very spotty, hit and miss type of precipitation's kind of what I've been noticing here.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. I think there could be a lot of grumblings out of farmers this year because there's going to be guys that get missed and are going to be really upset. And there's also going to be guys that hit the home run. So definitely going to be a year of uneasiness, I would say, right now, the way the rain's coming through.
Yeah, but with that said, I mean, generally we're pretty well watered right now too, and there's no excessive heat. So, I mean, you're never gonna talk to anybody this time of year that, wouldn't like a shot of rain here and there, and you pick up some hints of jealousy when north of them got an inch and a half and they only got a couple tenths, but nothing super pressing here right now.
Yep, I agree. So if you're ready, let's just get into showing all the maps and all the stuff.
Yeah.
So first thing I got, crop conditions came out yesterday afternoon. Corn is now rated a 72%, good to excellent. That's up 1% from last week and tied with last year's numbers. So overall, corn's in good shape right now. I don't really see anything super notable on this. I mean, Ohio stayed the same at that 58%. Dakota is still trending in the 60s. Clint, you kind of had some comments. You said it sounds like they've had some different concerns than other people are facing right now.
Yeah, when you're, judging things from sitting here looking at weather maps from Wisconsin, it's difficult. It's easy to say that, oh, they're off to a good start, plenty of rain. They got timely planted. All of that was in good shape. But as we're talking to producers out there, I don't think anybody's overly shook about it. And actually, you're hearing a lot of the ugly duckling phase kind of coming to an end here. Things are starting to spiff up, but I think there was a combination of cooler temps, and it just really didn't get off to a great, start. Like it was planted early, and then all of a sudden it kind of cooled down. So I think that kind of slowed things down a bit. And then also, actually, been hearing a lot of reports of pretty heavy winds, kind of got the corn whipped up a little bit and maybe pushed over a little bit. But now that we're getting into more warmer temperatures and things, it sounds like it's starting to visually look a little bit better. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we all trade conditions, corn condition reports and stuff because it's about the only thing we got this time of year. But, right now it's kind of like trying to pick the prom queen in the third grade.
Yep. So moving on, we'll move soybean planting progress. This will probably be the last week that I show this. Planting up to 93%. That is 1% lower than last year. I wouldn't say there's any concern. If you look at the trend, the 5-year trend, beans are right where they should be time wise with the expected acres that came out in March and the acres that have been stuck in. So nothing really abnormal there. Soybean conditions, they actually dropped 2% this week. This kind of intrigued me a little bit more than the corn side. State like Michigan, I'd assume it's a lack of heat concern. And Wisconsin, they've just gotten rain after rain of not big, huge thumpers, but just enough to, they need some heat to start drying stuff out and get stuff rocking and rolling. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't say there's anything in here that's a
it's
critical
just
disaster.
It's just been cool and lack of sunshine. I mean, we're in baseball season right now. Feels like 3 nights a week. I'm at baseball games in the evening wearing a sweatshirt still.
That doesn't feel right for June. But that's it. Soybean conditions. I haven't heard any reason as to why down in the south conditions have dropped. My only assumption, they have had a lot of rain down there. So evidently they have some, maybe some flood issues, but I don't have any firsthand information on that.
Yeah, I don't have tons either. I would go with moisture. And beans just generally don't like the wet feet early on. So I would anticipate that's mostly what's happening there.
Yep. So now moving into the maps, 1 to 5 day temperatures show, areas to the west and south pretty warm in the 90s, not abnormal for those regions this time of year. Everywhere else, even starting to see in the Dakotas, Wisconsin, everywhere starting to get highs in the 80s. And that's, for growing a crop, that's as ideal as it gets. So really good to see there for farmers. Temperatures look good. 6 to 10 day to the east stuff really heats up, which I don't know how that's going to react, but a short span of heat is not a big issue. It takes no rain for a large amount of time and continued heat before you can start saying anything about a drought. So as of right now, I would say, if anything, as wet as they are over there to the east, that's probably going to help them out a little bit.
I personally think that'll be pretty well welcomed, and it's such a small variation from normal, and ideal for that matter, that I think it's nothing but beneficial.
Yep. Then moving in, last 13 days of rainfall, pretty clear to see. You and I mentioned stuff here to the north, it's very hit or miss. Same thing to the west. The Delta and the Eastern Corn Belt's what's had more of those widespread rains. And I don't think there was ever a big barn burner. I think it's just been pretty consistently over the last 2 weeks, just getting a little rain here, a little rain there. So not anything to induce some major flooding, because it's getting some time in between to have some drainage and help it out a little bit. So that's it on the previous 13 days. Looking at the next 1 to 5, kind of some more of the same here, Clint. I mean, got some rainfall that's looking to be pretty spotty, areas that are going to get blipped and areas that are going to get missed. So overall, enough areas are going to get rain that this is viewed as a beneficial forecast. So the 1 to 5 day looks pretty friendly for growing the crop, not very friendly for the markets. Then 6 to 10 day shows the east drying up a decent amount, but here into the northern belt and then even some to the west, Nebraska definitely could use some rain from what I've been reading in that direction, and Dakotas would welcome it too. So interesting to see this 6 to 10 day, how much of that comes true.
Yeah, it's like everybody's getting their turn at some point in time.
Yep. So overall, not really a big concern. You throw it all together, throwing in all the blippy stuff, and then the heavier in the 6 to 10 day. The 1 to 13 looks fairly dark and just little patches everywhere. We'll see how much that comes true and what areas get missed and what areas get hit. But overall for today, Clint, all I got to say is it looks like there's going to be plenty of rain to get people through the month of June.
Yeah, and this is pushing us out to the 29th of June. So, it won't be long, and we're going to be looking at accurate 4th of July weather predictions. And boy, the summer's just moving along fast. That's how it happens.
Yep, moving along quick, and we're running out of time here. I mean, there's still a lot of growing season left, but if there's going to be some kind of drought related story to help rally this market, we're kind of starting to run short on time, don't you think?
For sure on corn, and we'll see how the beans shake out. The other thing I'd like to point out too is, while this is all looking pretty good, I mean, the ending stocks are they're ample, but they're not just massively burdensome, and we're still running on the thought process that we're gonna have a 182-ish corn yield and a 52, 53 bushel bean yield. That I think that's still well in the realm of expectations and possibilities, and we could probably even do better than that. But the other side of that is, I mean, those are some pretty lofty yield numbers, Riley. And, sometimes when you get these, you know, we got a pretty quick planning progress this year in the Western Belt, but there's a lot of questions as to what's going to happen in the Eastern Belt. And, when you think the Western Belt, just when you think you got it all figured out and they got off to a great start and they're highly rated, nothing can trick you faster than soybeans. My dad always, was big on that, especially we get into pod counting season. He always would tell me, Clint, if you could predict the national bean yield by counting pods, he said, I'd hire every college kid in the country to be out there on their hands and knees counting pods. And it just, so, there's just there's a lot of growing season and a lot of unknowns. And like you said, the ending stocks aren't so ample that I wouldn't rule out a rally just yet. We've really absorbed a lot of negative news, and there's still a lot of work to do to prove a 182, 183, even a 180 national yield. In soybeans, I mean, you talk to a farmer and he'll sit there and look at a bean field that's ready to go and tell you, yep, that thing's going to do 75 bushel, and get in there and it'll be 62, and he'll be scratching his head. And the next one he'll think's going to do 62, and he'll come out with 80, really scratching his head. So there's a lot ahead of us yet.
Yep, I agree with that thought. So weather-wise, though, for today, Clint, that's all I've got. So
10-4. Appreciate you putting the maps together, and it's Tuesday. No markets on Thursday for Juneteenth. So we'll definitely throw out a weather broadcast on Thursday yet, and keep you updated on what's going on there. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.
This material has been prepared by a sales or trading employee or agent of Midwest Market Management and is in the nature of a solicitation. This material is not a research report prepared by of Midwest Market Management Research Department. By accepting this communication, you agree that you are an experienced user of the futures markets, capable of making independent trading decisions, and agree that you are not and will not rely solely on this communication in making trading decisions. Distribution in some jurisdictions may be prohibited or restricted by law. Persons in possession of this communication indirectly should inform themselves about and observe any such prohibition or restrictions. To the extent that you have received this communication indirectly and solicitations are prohibited in your jurisdiction without registration, the market commentary in this communication should not be considered a solicitation. The risk of loss in trading futures and/or options is substantial, and each investor and/or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated by simulated historical tests of strategies, is not indicative of future results. Trading advice is based on information taken from trades and statistical services and other sources that of Midwest Market Management believes are reliable. We do not guarantee that such information is accurate or complete, and it should not be relied upon as such. Trading advice reflects our good faith judgment at a specific time and is subject to change without notice. There is no guarantee that the advice we give will result in profitable trades.